Everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to the Slowest Blitz, where we are playing Asphodel. This is turn 33. And there's actually a lot of interesting stuff that is happening right now in the game. And in this turn, things that I think are going to shape the near and far future for us. So yeah, let's jump into things. So first off, we get a messenger from Abysia. This is a lobby message. So we want some of that burning kush, found only in the hot lands of Abysia. And paired with the dire portent, we see what we had heard through the grapevine was coming to pass, has come to pass, right? Abysia has put up Mother Oak. Obviously, that's a big downer for us. I know through talking to people that the overcast was pretty high, right? Intentionally so. A lot of gems got bought up. That's really unfortunate, but honestly kind of not super unexpected on it happening. It's very late, Mother Oak. Spent a lot on the overcast, presumably, right? That might not actually be true. That might have been a bare minimum cast, but that's not what we've heard. But who's to say? And really, it's kind of our own damn fault. We could have cast Mother Oak 10 turns ago, if we had not gotten distracted by the kind of like the scare of, oh shit, we've got to divert our research into various potential power points, because we're potentially fighting 3 people and then just fighting 2 people, and oh, one of the people is very difficult to fight, etc., etc. So, it's at the end of the day, a game like Dominions is all about choices, and we got kind of conned into making a particular choice. Otherwise, we could have had Mother Oak up a while ago. And really, we should have had Mother Oak up a while ago. That would have been the better choice, but we didn't make that choice. So, is what it is, and we're going to have to live with the consequences there. See how it turns out. We also did get some gold from Vanarus. This is, I believe, in response to the trading that we're doing with provinces, but it might have also been some forging that we sent over to them. I kind of forgot to check the last turn, but we got a little bit of gold from Vanarus. We might have just actually traded straight up, right? Just been like, hey, we're low on gold. Can we trade you some gems for money? We do that a lot in this game, unfortunately. So, got all that. Did an arcane probing. Didn't get anything. Did finish Enchantment 6. Big deal. Fingers crossed. And then we got a whole bunch of battles. So let's check out some of these battles, shall we? Most of these are just little raids all around. So, this is a man-wolf raid coming into a fair amount of not just PD, but also we had a stack of Jade Maidens here. So we will kill the majority of the wolves. We will not get the werewolves, which is unfortunate. Is what it is. Victory there. We attacked into Forest of the Lost. Bunch of mannequins. Nothing much here. Easy victory. We get hit in Levendalen by a squad of landless knights. Unfortunately, there really isn't anything here, so they're going to win that one. We get hit in Muspel by a couple of unicorns. And so so we saw the big stack of unicorns that died in Asphodel. That didn't really work out. So now man is trying, hey, let's try out these little raiding parties. A stack of unicorns like this is going to squish probably 6 PD, maybe with a little bit of attrition. But maybe not. There's There's the great thing about Asphodel is there's often more shit in the province than just the PD. So let's see how this goes. So these unicorns get all buffed up. They have very low protection, but they are relatively killy for what they are. Have high HP. They smash that guy. They run into a bunch of mannequins and proceed to get blasted, which HP routes the monks. Otherwise, the monks probably would have been able to banish our mannequins down. But yeah, we kill 7 unicorns, lose 10 mannequins. That's a nice trade. I like that. I like that a lot. So definitely not unhappy about that. We attacked into Flower Meadow Fortress. Hit some mannequins, some Jade Maidens, a little bit of PD here, but probably not going to matter. Aside from some losses of... Oh, we lost 1 Carrion Wolf, so that's good. We are attacked in Sitha. So we got a line of Longbowmen and Landless Knights. A little bit of chaff here, but not going to be enough to be able to stand up to this many longbows. Unfortunate. So we lose a little bit of chaff in Sitha. We kill a Landless Knight. That's nice. We get attacked in Impassable Mountains. More of these little wolf remnant raiding parties. But again, there's a fair amount here. Are we going to get the werewolf this time? We do! At least in this battle. We'll see if we actually get it in reality. We did not get it in reality. Unfortunate. We lost some of our own wolves, killed most of their wolves. Easy peasy. We get to see a... no. So, this is probably the biggest thing for us. We attacked Sylvania this turn. And so we have a big stack, whole bunch of shit going on here. A little bit of PD here. A fair number of monks, unicorns, and actually a few knights. So let's see how this goes. This does trigger our gem usage, so Howl goes off. And we stomp those knights. Very nice. So in Sylvania, we lost 13 Carrion Boars. We didn't lose anything that wasn't wolves. Didn't lose anything that wasn't chaff. Oh, that's not true. We lost 1 Centaur Warrior. But nothing especially big. None of our, like, Carrion Behemoths or Black Centaurs or Minotaur. Oh, we lost 8 Minotaurs, actually. Fuck. This was not as good as I had originally thought. We kill a Knight Commander of Avalon. We kill a couple monks. We kill 6 Knights of Avalon. Cool. That's nice. We kill 15 unicorns. Not too bad, but kind of a drop in the bucket with what we are facing at the moment. And honestly, for what we killed, what we lost, 8 Minotaurs and a Centaur, is not super great, truth be told. If we'd lost more chaff, more of our mannequins, that would have been good, but kind of got smacked around a little bit there. We do get to see a battle in Farseer Mountains, Abysia attacking some independents, just doing Abysia things. A bunch of knights here, actually. This is Abysia. They're gonna kill the shit out of these people, but maybe they take some losses. Lost an Abyssian infantry, lost some lava warriors, lost a salamander, as you do with knights. And we are attacked in the Kingdom of Dara by some mantis. And there's 1 PD there, so nothing's gonna happen. Unexpected events. We get Eyegrave the Vampire, so that's kind of interesting. And we get Misfortune 1 in Impassable Mountains. Worldwide event has occurred, conjuration rituals are cheaper, and then we get a bunch of sneakers in the Shadow Glade, which we pop, and we have breached the fortification of Sylvania. Okay. Well, what the fuck is going on? What is the game state? Where are we at? It's turn 33. Mother Oak's gone up. It's the first global that's gone up. It's pretty late. It is being held by Abysia over in Hubberton. This is an extremely exposed location. I can only presume that that means that there is an alteration site in Hubberton. Right, Alt is the Mother Oak one, right? Alt is Mother Oak one. So, I cannot imagine there would be any other reason for Abysia to put up Mother Oak in such an exposed location, other than something like an alteration site. So that is pretty interesting. It's not especially like crazy for us. Like, there's nothing alteration oriented that we would just be like, yeah, let's go get another fight for that. But it does kind of paint an interesting picture with what's going on with Bandar Log, Abysia, and Agartha feeling comfortable enough to just kind of like do something like this in the face of Bandar Log. Bandar Log is still raiding around, is still, prosecuting the defense of their territory, but they really only have this stack of Tiger Riders left. So kind of on their way out. The question is, how quickly is that going to happen? And when that happens, who will be our new neighbors? Will we have Abyssian neighbors? Will we have Agarthan neighbors? Honestly, it's kind of in Abyssia's best interest. I say it's in Abyssia's best interest. It kind of depends on what Abysia wants to do. So down below, it's just Abysia and Agartha. So if Abysia doesn't let Agartha kind of like have this territory, and when I say let have this territory, Abysia is absolutely in the stronger position over Agartha. So it would be yeah, sure, you can have this. I'll take all of the rest of the stuff that we've had. Whoever gets their capital is still very questionable, but the assumption would be that Agartha takes this, because if they don't, if Abysia is like, nah, fam, this is mine, then Agartha really only has Abysia to fight at that point. Now, that might be a decision. Abyssia's player might just be like, yeah, it's time. I am taking all of the entrances, and it's time to prosecute a war for the underground. And when I am done with that war, it is going to be extremely difficult to defeat me because fuck you, right? But we'll see. I don't know how that is actually going to turn out. And Bandar Log still has some fight left in them. They've just been fighting 2v1 for a very long time. So we got a lot going on in our home territory. So let's look up at Phaeacia real quick. There's significantly less going on up here. I'm 90% sure that this has been no, actually, maybe not. I'm 90% sure that I fucked up the save and this has been reset. Because I do think that I recruited some units this turn. However, it's possible that I'm also just... The gold is now an issue, right? Our income versus our upkeep is becoming a problem. We've spent a lot on units. I swear, this isn't right. I've definitely spent gold, so this is fucked up. We are recruiting units, but it is around this point where I start to try to retain a bit of a treasury. I'm also looking at putting up a temple and a lab over here in Forbidden Forest, so that is going to take a little bit of gold. That's what this Panic Apostate is heading off to do. So, as well as drop a fort there, so that we can take advantage of this additional library. But I definitely spent some gold this turn. Don't know why it's not saved, but it is what it is. We're attacking. The problem is we don't have a lot of really good attack avenues. or really good raid avenues with the units that we've been recruiting. I talked previously about how much I have been putting into Jade Maidens. For the bless that we have, for the fact that they're sacred, right, that they have low upkeep cost, they are good units for us. But they don't match up well into Knights of Avalon. They do perfectly fine against Landless Knights or Landless Knights, I think is what they're called, and obviously like archers and things like that. They have like a little shield, a high defense scaling, blah blah blah. Not that that matters with the archers, but the shield does. But part of the problem is they're not great raiders, right? In comparison to taking something like Centaur Warriors and shuffling them around with a Hierophant. These guys are stealthy, right? So I could presumably be in man's backline with a stack like this if I had dumped that gold into the Centaurs. But the issue is not having a bless, blah 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 blah. So kind of like, yeah, in a situation where he has points of power. Like, it's not just everything that's in Asphodel is all that he has. He's got more knights all over the place. He's producing a shit ton of knights every single turn. He's got a lot of temples. He's doing a very good job of keeping his temples defended against my potential raiding options. And he's producing, you know, plenty of longbowmen and other units that can cut me off if I am not able to stealth around and do things. So, unfortunately, we're kind of in this pattern of just, well, let's defend our border. So that's kind of what the Phaeacian front is turning into, right? We're trying to use Vaclez as kind of a stopgap. I'm considering even saving up the money to throw up a shitty fortification in Pugria. I don't know that we're actually going to do that because that will really hurt from the money standpoint. Flower Meadow Fortress is too exposed to put something up, unfortunately. If it was Banded Hills, I would absolutely like stealth a caster over there, drop a fucking lab, and then drop a fort. But Flower Meadow Fortress is too exposed. So right now, we're kind of consolidating, going to try to kick him out of Pugria, continue to raid things like Kingdom of Dara, right? Sending out some Minotaurs, just consolidating our stuff over in the Vaclez Phaeacian scenario. And want to kind of try and create a wall here, fix things in our southern border, or in our heartlands, right? Again, wall off this territory, and then try to like push against man, right, is the idea. So let's talk about what's going on in Asphodel. There's a shit ton of arrows here, right? So we breached the fortification in Sylvania this turn. The issue is we've got 70 enemies here, we've got 50 enemies here. This is mostly Knights of Avalon. So this we can say is probably roughly 40 to 45 Knights of Avalon. This is Knights of Avalon, Monks, Wolves, Daughters of Avalon, etc., etc. That's still going to be mostly Knights of Avalon. Probably around 40 or so Knights of Avalon would be my assumption. A fair amount of Wolves, and then Mages. These are both within striking distance of Sylvania, obviously. Then we have another stack of Longbowmen and Landless Knights. And we know that things like the Wolves, the Unicorns, potentially the Killer Mantises, they can definitely make it to Sylvania. So the issue is I don't know what is in Sylvania. There could be 2 units inside Sylvania, or there could be 100 units inside Sylvania. With the combination of what he has available to hit Sylvania with, I don't know that we can actually win the fight here. And this group is not as well supported magically as Shadowglade, right? So rather than risk the fight, we're pulling off, and we're going to jump over into Shade Forest. This is just in the potential option of catching a stack like something coming from Frosted Peaks or Lovendalen and squishing it. But also, because of the nature of the forests, Shade Forest is still in striking range of a lot of different locations, right? So that's the generalized plan there. We're also gonna throw off little stacks, attack in Bycliff, throw off attack in Edirol, throw off an attack down in Sitha, etc., etc. We're hitting Lovendalen with a fair number of mannequins. And we're hitting Frosted Peaks with a fair number of mannequins. This is partially, right, to hopefully make sure that we take these two locations. Obviously, if he dumps everything out of Asphodel into something like Frosted Peaks, they'll get popped. If he throws something like Iron Peaks down into Lovendalen, they'll get popped, right? But if he doesn't move a sizable force into any of these locations, this can take on probably like 5 knights. Potentially. That's why we have not only the mass of mannequins, but we have a couple of other units actually in to kill. So our killers in this one being the whites, our killers in this one being the black centaurs and minotaur warriors. Black centaurs don't trade well, but they do dodge a fair amount. The minotaur warriors do not dodge, they get hit, but they do hit back very hard. So if you get enough fatigues in, if you get a few knights surrounded, this can actually win out. Against 5, this definitely wins. Against 10, this probably still wins, but it starts to become much more questionable. That's why we do have a mage in here summoning earth power, doing giant strength, because with the additional +4 strengths on these black centaurs, they do become much more capable of actually hurting and potentially swinging. So 10 knights probably still in our favor, although it starts to become questionable. 15 knights, no, we probably lose that, etc., etc. Right? That type of situation. Generally the same type of thing for this, though the whites have a better base ability to hurt the knights than the black centaurs do, but not as good as the minotaurs do. So, but they are also a little tankier, so this is kind of like a little 50-50 thing. This, I think, in totality, probably does not hold as many knights, or hold against as many knights as the other one does, but we'll see. So, most of this is just raiding around, taking things back, counter raiding, etc., etc., picking up more mannequins, all of that stuff. But we are pulling off Sylvania. We are storming the castle with a Black Harpy, just to kind of see what we see. And we are holding the siege with a couple of heavy infantry. This is just, you know, one, these units cost us money. They cost us 8 gold a year. That's not a lot, but there's 10 of them, so that's 80 gold a year. We don't really need them anymore. They can hold the siege. They're not going to run against a single scout that pops out. And if they die, they die. Whatever. But we're going to check what's inside Sylvania, see if we can keep the siege maintained. And if we can keep the siege maintained, and there's not a good response to what is in there, then we can move what's in going to Shade Forest back onto Sylvania and potentially support it with what's in Lovendalen, Frosted Peaks, and even theoretically in Shadowglade if these lines are open, right? Because we have reduced movement through these forests, and that will allow us to get back to Sylvania more easily. Aside from that, we are also going to be hitting in Asphodel. The big thing being, obviously, right, if he marches this whole army out towards Sylvania, then, you know, Asphodel is free game, and he has to start asking himself, these are 2 big armies. Which army am I going to try to fight? Am I going to try to fight one army? Am I going to combine these armies? Right? Because combining these armies, especially now with the tech of Rigor Mortis, might be a full win, right? Like everything he has against everything I have might be a full win, and that's what we were going for, right? That's why we've been holding off on fighting so that we could have something big and try to pull the trigger on a attack. So we are moving on to Asphodel, back onto our capital with the normal shebang, right? Just a metric shit ton of mannequins. But we're basically bringing almost everything out of Shadowglade. So I think the only things that aren't moving out of Shadowglade are a couple of we've still got plenty of researchers down here, I suppose. But a fair amount of things are moving, including a fair amount of sages to do some body ethereal spam. Now, this body ethereal spam is almost entirely intended for our Carrion behemoths. If he decides to hole up in the walls, great, fantastic. We're going to have our Carrion behemoths on probably an attack rear, body ethereal them, hope they charge through the wall, and smash the fuck out of his backline, right? That's the general plan. And then, of course, obviously, we have things like Rigor Mortis, Relief, all of that going up. We've got Giant Strengths going out. We've got Howl coming down. We've got Divine Blessing, Puppet Mastery, that type of stuff. And again, with the whole kit of all the rest of our Black Centaurs, yada yada. So this is a relatively powerful force. And it's basically the concept of, is he going to fight me here, or is he going to try to pull this force out of Asphodel? Because I do honestly think that this force wins what I have in Shadowglade versus what he has in Asphodel. I think we win outright. But he could pull this force out of Asphodel into Frosted Peaks or into Sitha, or he could march down to Monarch Woods. He could try to, create a link between his Knights of Avalon. There could be a bunch of stuff in Sylvania, etc., right? So it's kind of all up in the air of where is his stuff? What is he doing with it? What is he planning to do with it, etc. So we're gonna see. I like our odds in general for the current point where we're at, but if we don't make something happen, we're in a bit of a pickle. And I've talked about this. Our income isn't the worst, right? Because we do have the Phaeacian lands, but we have not transitioned, or we have not made good progress on transitioning out of a gold economy and into a gem economy. The main focus there being primarily the Mother Oak switch getting flipped. So we haven't done that. That is a bad thing for us. But also, we've been pouring a lot of our income into things like Minotaurs, into things like Jade Maidens, etc., etc. We're not summoning as much as we should be. I really should be summoning more. But I've been playing very, very greedy in the hopes that our gods are going to show up soon. Yet another reason to go for Asphodel sooner rather than later, because our gods are not online. And if we don't do something about that, our gods are going to pop into enemy territory, and that's not going to be great for us. So those are all issues, right? We're still almost entirely gold based. We have not utilized that gold to build our mage forces as high as we would want, so that we can continue to scale our research. We spent way more money. We have a lot of mages, but we spent way more money than I would want on things like Minotaurs. And that, on top of the not transitioning out of gold and into a gem-based economy, is an issue. So I don't see good things for us in the near future, but we're going to try to do what we can about it. And one of the things that we can do about it is Thaumaturgy 3, specifically for Haruspects. There's some other stuff that we get there, right? We can get Augury when we get our gods. You know, we can do some things with luck. Despair actually might not be a horrible idea for us. That type of situation. Despair, panic area. But primarily we're going here for Haruspects because we really haven't site searched much. We've been so focused on the war that we've been fighting that we have vast swaths of land that have not been site searched at all for nature. And obviously if we get our capital back, that gets us another 6 nature. It puts us at 12 right now. We know there's more nature out there, right? There's another 3 sitting in Sylvania. If we can hold on to that, that's 15. If we can get another 5 out of that through some Haruspexes, and it's not difficult for us to Haruspex in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But if we can get up to 20 nature gems, obviously that should be 30 with Mother Oak, which is really the break point that you're looking for, right? Like, if you can get up to that 30 points between actual income, Mother Oak, and the income that you get from your temples, 30 is where you can actually really start to transition out of a gold economy and into a pretty solid economy from gems on the nature aspect of Asphodel. You can summon multiple Carrion Centaurs a turn, or you can save up and do, you know, Carrion Apostates. Is that what they are? Is that what Carrion Lords, right? Every other turn, that type of situation. So, that's kind of where we're at, right? We're kind of in the concept of we need to transition. We need to be using our gems more. But I'm really hoping that we get our gods in the next turn or two, and if we do, then we have avenues for what we can use with in regards to fire, air, and water, which is what we really have stored up. And then if we can get up to a better income of, 15 to 20 nature, that's not great. That's significantly less than what we would prefer, but it's doable, especially if we can have some wins against man. Then that's very doable, right? Like, if we even if it takes us another 10, 15 turns, if we come out of this war with man stronger, or God forbid, we actually defeat man and we now have a fucking line, which will probably just mean death, because at that point I think the other players will just kill us. But that could mean that we have access to enough gems at that point to really swap into the economy that we're looking for. Aside from Thaumaturgy 3, going for Haruspects, we are popping up Alteration 6. This is kind of the next goal for us, really. You get into stuff like Wooden Warriors, which is going to be helpful for us over Group Barkskin. You get things like Venomous Death. Unfortunately, this isn't going to be super useful against man, but it is very good. You do get things like Soul Vortex, which is something that you're typically going to be utilizing if you're utilizing Carrion Lord Thugs, which we would love to use. We just have not made enough Carrion Lords and do not have the construction to kit them in such a way that they're going to be useful, especially when fighting against man. You get a bunch of other stuff. There's a bunch of really good stuff going on in Alt 6. It's got a lot of actually like really interesting things. Unfortunately, much like many of the other things that we've run into, it's not super great against man. Knights of Avalon are... they're not a hammer, they're not an anvil, they're not rock, paper, scissors, they're a nuke. And they're so good against so many different things. Darkness, we could throw up. They don't care. They have Spirit Sight or Perfect Dark Vision or whatever it is. Displacement could be really, really good. They don't care. Same reason. etc., etc. So, giant warriors potentially useful for us, wooden warriors potentially useful for us, but really, this is a stepping stone potentially to go down further. We might make a run all the way up to 9, Alteration 9, to go for something like Army of Lead or Army of Bronze. We do, with our gods, we will be able to cast those, although it's going to be potentially difficult, but, you know, it is an option. And then getting things like Army of Rats, Awakened Forest, those things are always very interesting. Along the way, obviously, Oaken Army, Army of Giants, very easy things for us to put up and utilize against man. So, that's really it. That's really all that's going on right now. This is a big turn, right? Because depending on where man moves in response to what is going on, it could put us in a very advantageous position, or a fairly neutral position. I don't think that there's much that can happen in this singular turn that would put us in a extremely disadvantageous position. Not to say that there aren't things that can happen. Motherfuckers. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, that is it for this turn. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.